So, how you doing? No, not you specifically, your entire field. You're in groups now, and each of your groups has a specific focus. But before you can really think about solving any problems, you got to figure out what those problems actually are. I'm doing this a lot with my hands. Your next big assignment is the industry profile. If you go to the major assignment sheet, you're going to get all the full details, but let's go over it briefly. The scenario: your group's individual focus is on a specific field which is undergoing a particular crisis. What is that crisis? What exactly is going wrong? What does the research say? For this assignment, you're going to investigate the current state of your field, focusing on one specific problem area. And the assignment sheet goes on to talk about the sections at minimum your industry profile should have and some more details about it. Of course, you want to make sure you check your specific class's documents, as the information might be slightly different. Now, for the sample, so we have something to talk about, I thought we'd talk about the animation industry. Animation is experiencing a bit of a moment. There's lots of great films of awesome quality and lots of great TV shows that are all animated. And there are a lot of different styles of animation, to the point where if you think about animation, it's too big of a topic. What are you going to say about it? How can you approach it? Like any topic, you're going to have to find some way to narrow it down. And one way to narrow down animation as a field is to think about, where are we talking about? The animation industry is very, very global. Most countries have an animation market, and it is huge. It's a different thing to talk about animation in India as it is to talk about animation in Malaysia. So you need to pick a specific place. There are also different styles of animation. Frame-by-frame computerized animation is different than motion graphics, which is different than stop motion, which is different than motion capture, which is different than blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. Even if you pick a specific country, you're still going to have to find a way to narrow it down in terms of the style. Talking about the US anime market is a much different thing than talking about the US 3D animation market, which is about twice as big. So, you can break it down by location, you could break it down by the specific type of animation. You can break it down by what segment of the industry are you talking about. If we're talking about animation, we could talk about the major animation studios in the United States. There are 46 of them that go anywhere from 6,500 to 2,300 people. There's a lot of animation happening in our country. Talking about the animation studios where the animation actually happens is a different thing than talking about the places where people can see the animation. And there are a number of different options. And talking about this is a different thing than talking about what it's like to be an actual animator. Then we have the problems which the industry has. And there are always going to be several of these too. One major problem is budgets tend to be shrinking. People want more and want to spend less money to get it. And currently, we see this because a lot of the traditional animation outlets, like Netflix Animation, is cutting jobs and dropping projects. If your prices are going up and the amount of money you have to spend is going down, you're going to look for shortcuts you can apply. One shortcut that businesses love is outsourcing your labor. Just because the executives live in one place doesn't mean the product has to be built in that place or it has to be marketed in that place. And talking about animation projects, even if we're talking about America, outsourcing is a different thing for America than it is for, say, South Korea. I picked South Korea because South Korea has a history of animating projects for American producers. One of the biggest and one of the oldest animation studios, at least I think they're one of the biggest and oldest. They're one of the biggest and oldest I know about, is Rough Draft Korea. Rough Draft Korea does a lot of stuff, and not minor stuff either. There are shows you have heard about and you know that might be written in America, might be acted in America, but the actual animation itself, that's done in Korea. Another factor for the animation industry is it's getting dramatically easier for individuals to not have to go to animation companies because there are a lot more DIY tools for doing animation. One of them is Powtoon, where you can create animations for videos and presentations. And this is a consumer-based one, but it's used not just by consumers, it's used by major corporations, Coca-Cola, Pfizer, Costco, Starbucks. And this means that the animation studios that we have are having to compete very heavily with individuals now, or companies that just want to do everything in-house. So if I'm doing an industry profile assignment, these are the kind of things I'm going to have to think of. These are the kind of things on which I'm going to have to focus. Now, one last technical word when it comes to the industry profile is the format. This is the first thing you're doing, which is going to be an informal report. Informal reports, though, aren't hard for format, and you've in fact seen one of these because I've already given you access to the memo format document, which is itself an informal report. An informal report just means that you have memo heading scheme with a to, from, subject to date. Where a memo would be a one-page document, informal reports are longer documents that are organized into sections, each broken down with a header. And that's it. So that's the industry profile. Make sure you check your specific class's assignment sheet. They're all a little bit different depending on how the semester goes. Remember that you're working with a group and your group has a specific focus. This is an individually produced document, but hopefully there's some kind of synergy between the groups. If you were in an animation group, I can easily see one person writing about the problems from the studio's perspective. I can see one person writing about the problems and the issues that come with a lot of DIY tools. I can see another person talking about outsourcing, those kind of things. Hopefully your work on your industry profile is going to be complemented by the work your peers in your group are doing. That way you can get the most amount of information. Now, I'm not going to spoil too much where the class is going all the way over there, but you're going to be building towards a report where you try to solve a problem in your field. So this assignment where you're trying to figure out what the problems are is kind of going to be key to a little bit of work you're going to be doing way down in the future. So do a good job. As always, contact me if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video.